3 years ago, I was broke. Not struggling broke. I'm talking checking my bank account before buying a $4 coffee and hoping the math worked out. And the worst part, I had a decent income. I just had absolutely nothing to show for it. No cushion, no savings, just a number that never seemed to grow no matter how hard I worked. What changed wasn't some app or a budgeting spreadsheet I'd abandoned in 2 weeks. It was 10 habits. 10 boring, unglamorous habits nobody puts on Instagram. And what surprised me most wasn't the money they saved, it was how fast they stopped feeling like effort. They just became who I was. I was 27, living in a city I couldn't afford, convinced I was immune to financial advice because I'd read enough about it to sound educated. I knew about compound interest, I understood the 50-30-20 rule, and yet every Friday I found a reason to spend. I didn't start fixing this because I got motivated. I started because I was exhausted, tired of that stomach-dropping feeling every time I opened my banking app. Habit 1. I stopped buying things the moment I wanted them. When I see something I want, clothes, a gadget, a course, I add it to a list and wait 72 hours. 70% of the time, I forget it exists entirely. Not because I force myself, but desire just evaporates on its own. Because the brain releases dopamine in anticipation of buying something, not in actually having it. The wanting always feels bigger than the owning. The other 30% of the time, I still want it and I buy it, guilt-free, because I know it's real. This one habit saves me $3,000 to $4,000 a year on purchases I was seconds away from making. Habit 2. I unsubscribed from every marketing email. This sounds small. It is not small. I was getting promotional emails from over 140 grams every single day. Sale ends tonight, last chance. I wasn't consciously reading them, but they were quietly reshaping what I thought I needed. Unsubscribing took 2 hours one Sunday, one time, forever, and eliminated an entire channel of manufactured desire I didn't know was running in the background. Habit 3. I started making coffee at home. Roll your eyes, I'll wait, because this isn't about the coffee, it's about automatic spending. Automatic spending is a muscle. Every time you buy something without thinking, that muscle gets stronger. Making coffee at home was the first time I deliberately slowed down and made a different choice. That intentionality started spreading everywhere else. The coffee was just a first domino. Here's the part nobody talks about. The hardest part wasn't the habits, it was what I found underneath them. Because I hadn't just been spending money, I'd been using spending as a coping mechanism. Rough week at work? Buy something. Anxious? Buy something. Bored on a Tuesday night? Scroll and buy something. When I took that away, I had to sit with those feelings, and for a while, that was genuinely uncomfortable. Nobody tells you that fixing your finances is also an emotional project. I believe it's why most people fail, not because the habits are hard, but because the habits hold up a mirror. Habit 4. I never grocery shop hungry. Research shows hungry shoppers spend up to 60% more, and not just on food, on everything. Hunger puts your brain into full acquisition mode. I've left stores with truffle oil, 3 types of cheese, and a bag of something I couldn't identify but felt compelled to buy. Ate none of it. Shop with a list, shop full, and you'll save $40 to $60 every single trip without even trying. Habit 5. I do a subscription on it every 6 months. 20 minutes, twice a year. Every time I do it, I find something. Last time, a gym I hadn't visited in 8 months, a meditation app I used twice, a cloud plan I was double paying for, and a software subscription I didn't even recognize. It had been silently draining my account for over a year. Recurring charges are designed to be forgettable. The habit is simply to notice. Habit 6. I track my net worth once a month, not my spending. I tried detailed budgeting. I burned out in 6 weeks because it felt like financial prison. What worked was one number, net worth, assets minus liabilities, once a month, 10 minutes. Watching that number slowly climb gave me momentum instead of shame. Progress builds habits. Shame doesn't. Somewhere around month 4, something shifted. I had money in my account I hadn't spent, and instead of the usual stomach drop when I opened my banking app, I felt clear, steady. That quiet, unsexy feeling of having a cushion turned out to be more satisfying than anything I'd been buying to fill that gap. Habit 7. I pay myself first automatically. The moment a paycheck lands, a transfer fires to savings before I can see it, touch it, or talk myself out of it. It started at $50 a month. That's not the point. The point is that the behavior happens before my brain gets involved, before I can have a bad Thursday and decide I deserve a little treat. Willpower is a terrible financial strategy. It runs out. It has bad days. Automation doesn't. Habit 8. I learned to say I can't afford that right now, out loud without apology. Not I don't feel like it, not some vague excuse, just the plain, honest truth. This took me longer than any other habit because I'd absorbed the idea that admitting financial limits was embarrassing, that real adults could just do things, go places, say yes. But the most financially solid people I know say this phrase constantly because they're not victims of their money, they're directing it somewhere intentional. Saying it out loud is its own form of financial therapy, and the more you say it, the less it stings. Habit 9. I stopped upgrading things that still work. Phone works fine? Keep it. Car runs? Drive it. There's an entire industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars built around engineering the anxiety that what you have is no longer enough. But the upgrade is almost never about the product. It's about the feeling of being current. My rule, I only upgrade when something breaks, not when something new comes out. In 3 years, this saved me more than almost anything else on this list. Habit 10, and this is the big one. I stopped using spending as a substitute for living. I told myself I was rewarding myself for working hard, and that's partially true. But most of my spending had nothing to do with enjoyment. It was about filling space, weekends that felt hollow, evenings that felt purposeless, a restlessness I'd learned I could quiet for 20 minutes by clicking buy now. When I stopped, I had to build a life that didn't need constant input to feel okay. More time with people, more time outside, more creating and less consuming. And here's what I found. That life cost almost nothing, and it feels better than anything I was buying to replace it. These habits will save you money, but what they're really doing is teaching you to stop running from yourself. So here they are, all 10. The 72-hour rule, kill the marketing emails, make the coffee, never shop hungry, audit your subscriptions, track net worth, not spending, pay yourself first, say you can't afford things, stop upgrading what works, and stop filling your life with purchases instead of presents. None of these are glamorous. None of them will impress anyone. But a year from now, you'll open your banking app and feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Safe. And that feeling is worth more than anything I ever spent chasing it. If this hit differently than you expected, if it felt less like a money video and more like something you needed to hear, subscribe. I make honest, no-fluff videos about building a life that works. Hit the bell, drop a comment telling me which habit you're starting this week. I read every single one. See you in the next one.